Your Creative Force by Avian is currently available on Global Voice Radio.
Talent is a flame. Genius is a fire. Broadcasting from the San Francisco Bay Area, the all-new all-hit show on creativity. Hosted by international award-winning artist and entrepreneur, Avian. You're listening to Your Creative Force. And now here's your host, Avian.
Hi everyone, this is Avian coming to you once again from the lovely San Francisco Bay Area in California, the USA. And we have a great show planned for you today. Our radio show, Your Creative Force, comes to you today with episode 15. And our show theme is green lights and red flags. I really think this is a very important topic that is often brushed over and shouldn't be, because one of the most critical things we can do for ourselves on our journey is to learn the art. And I'm saying it's an art because it's not always an exact science, but learning the art of reading people and reading situations and making sober choices and sober analyses of situations so that we can know when to say yes to a green light and when to be a little bit circumspect and a little bit more, maybe a little pessimistic, for lack of a better word, of just embracing every single opportunity, realizing that there may be some serious red flags. Now, one of the hardest things to do in any business is to act in our own and our business best interest. The reason this is hard is because we are subjectively involved. But one of the ways we can do this, act in the best interest of ourselves and our business, is by knowing when to engage with an opportunity and when to walk away from a potential disaster. Now, before we go on, you need to understand that you are not always absolutely going to know this in advance. But you can guard yourself. You can guard yourself and your business against major losses, or you can actually help your business propelling it forward on a faster track by recognizing opportunities in a healthy way when they do come across your path. And that's what we are exploring today with our theme, green lights and red flags. When we are young, inexperienced, or emotionally driven, and most of us are emotionally driven to a degree, at least to a large degree, I think. I am emotionally driven. So this is something I really need to be very, very sober about. This can become really hard to do, and we can cause ourselves great harm by being impulsive or easily impressed or feeling guilt. Sometimes our desire to work with someone or our desire to even help other people can overshadow our ability to discern a situation accurately. And I think this is especially true for people who are empathic and who are emotional driven. It is really hard for us to say no to people sometimes. It comes back to boundaries a little bit, but you would have to listen to some of our previous shows to delve deeper into that. Today, we are just going to focus more on, like I say, what I would like to call it, the art of actually discerning the green lights and the red flags, right? I call it an art because it isn't really an exact science, to be honest with you. You can sometimes miss a cue. You can sometimes make a mistake. And the thing is, even when you do, you don't have to beat yourself up about it. The only thing I would urge you to do is to try and limit making such mistakes, because the more you grow in your business, the more you advance, the more your product or your service become something lucrative, the more you are going to attract green lights and red flags, great opportunities, and people who may not always be who they say they are, bringing you opportunities that may not quite be what they think those opportunities are. So you have to really develop this skill, and there's no microwaving this into existence. You are going to have to use some measure of trial and error to get this right. Okay. It is a learning curve. It is a process, but I think I can help you along this journey a little bit today by sharing with you some of my own experiences and some of my own knowledge with regards to this topic. Because even when we are logical and experienced and calculated in our approach, we can still find ourselves facing situations having to make such decisions based upon fear, limited knowledge, or limited experience. Okay? It doesn't matter how clever you think you are, how well you think you can read people, you can still be placed in an instant in a situation where you suddenly feel scared and then you feel you have to make a choice very quickly and you can make the wrong choice. Okay? So these are the kinds of things we're trying to avoid. We're trying to make you aware of this and give you some tips and tools to navigate this, right? This all becomes part of your creative force from where you creatively, authentically run your dreams, run your business, run your entrepreneurial pursuits so that you can have success in a more healthy and a more sober way. This is what this is all about, right? So we don't want to be making decisions based upon fear or limited knowledge or guilt or shame or any of that stuff. But sometimes there are people who can take us for a ride, even if they don't intend to do so. They may actually believe what they're telling you, and they may be so good at believing what they're telling you that they may have you believing it too. So today I'm going to give you some tips how to know the difference, like spot the difference, right? So you do not want to become scared of people. You don't want analysis paralysis to set in, and you don't want things to frustrate your growth either, okay? So when you gain the confidence of reading people well and having better discernment, and your no can be your no and your yes can be your yes, and you know that you've made wise decisions, even if you feel after the fact that you're not 100% sure if your decision was best, you can have peace about it. See, having peace about your decisions, that's a huge deal. People don't always speak about that and they don't always realize it, but it is really a huge deal. Okay? Lacking the skill of discernment will truly hinder our achievements and successes instead of propelling us forward. In episode 15 today, I want to help us all to take a closer look at how we can become more accurate and decisive in our discernment when it comes to spotting green lights and red flags, especially with regards to running a small business or entrepreneurial effort. Like I always tell you guys, I can only speak from what I have learned myself and what I am going through right now. And I have found over the last year, remember when we were speaking about our entrepreneurial journey and the different levels of entrepreneurship that is out there? And I was telling you guys that I've moved from a level 1 to a level 2, and that now I'm looking at moving from a level 2 to a level 3 in certain aspects of my business. Well, I can tell you over the last few years, and especially in the last year, trying to propel my business forward to the next phase. It is a process, and I have found that this skill of discerning people and knowing the difference between green lights and red flags, this skill has really become something that I have realized I must pay more and more attention to because the stakes are getting higher. The kind of clients I want to work with are now in a different kind of category. The kind of projects I want to work on, the kind of students I want to attract to my business, these things are growing and evolving and changing. And with that, if I want to keep building my business forward in a positive way, it comes with the territory that I have to have better discernment and be more decisive. It's interesting because in the last few months, I have had to start saying no to clients in ways I never had to say no to them before. And it is because my focus and my journey has shifted into a higher gear. Okay? So, part 1 today of our show. What are green lights? What do we mean when we talk about being able to spot green lights? Well, a green light is a true opportunity. And trust me, there are those out there. A true opportunity is surrounded and backed by evidence that we can feel comfortable and secure about pursuing. A green light can come in the obvious form of the right employee for the right job, a great networking connection, or an opportunity that just flawlessly aligns itself with our goals and methods. And now and then you will find those, I call them the golden opportunities. Those are the opportunities that just easily and flawlessly and without drama and without hassle, they just kind of fall into place. Those are wonderful because if you've ever built your own business or struggled as an entrepreneur, you would know that that doesn't happen every day. So when those come along, by all means, grab hold of them. Don't let them slip through your fingers, okay? So some green lights are easy to spot and they come to us naturally, but sometimes a green light isn't always clear. And that is when we need sharp discernment, a fine-tuned ability to tell the difference between what is a green light and what is not a green light. Some ways that we can know what is a green light and what is not, especially when we do not feel it is clear or when we are facing ourselves wrestling with it, is the following. And these are questions that we need to ask and answer for ourselves honestly and truthfully. And this is also where you get some of the people you trust in your business. Remember, we spoke before that you need some sort of an advisory council. If you don't have a board or board members, if you're a small business, you still need kind of like an advisory council. Okay, so here are the questions that you can ask yourself truthfully and honestly, or that you can have your counsel kind of something to bounce off them, right? First, who are the people involved in this green light? The person bringing the potential opportunity to you. Is this person really who they say they are? Who else is involved? You have to ask for an in-person interview. Online via Skype is also okay, but you have to do your homework on people these days, especially now, because let me explain to you that people can really pretend to be anything. If you find this person on social media, they can pretend to be anyone and anything. Okay, I run into this more and more. This person wants to do a book deal with me, and this person wants to connect with me to do this business group and that business group and this business pursuit and that business pursuit. And I do not say yes to about 95% of it because a lot of it is kind of nonsense. It's kind of just someone trying to look important. And so I do my homework and I align myself now and then with someone that I feel is the real deal. Okay. But I do not say yes to just everything because I'm desperate for opportunity. I'm calculated about this, right? You have to become calculated about it. Don't just take people at face value. Someone who is above board will have a trail that you can follow. They will have a lot of information about them and what they do online, and it will be obvious. You will not have to guess, okay? You should be able to find them on LinkedIn or social media and Google searches, and you should easily be able to get hold of others who have worked with them in the past to check up on them a little. If they are truly above board, they will not even mind you checking them out. They won't even mind it if you do a background check on them. Okay. I can tell you that I have had organizations and teaching institutions and different kinds of people and business owners who wanted to work with me before, and they checked me out. Some of them ran a background check on me, and I was fine with it because I don't have anything to hide, right? I know if they go and check out my background, they're totally going to find my public murals. They're totally going to find clients I've worked with before. They're going to be able to track down students I have taught before, and they will be able to get a very clear idea who I am, what I'm about, and how it is to work with me. And they're going to very easily be able to tell that I am in fact who I say I am. I am in fact someone who has had my work on television. I am an artist who has had my work published in several magazines and all kinds of things like that. They can go and they can find out that that is true. I have people who can vouch for me on that. People who have seen this and who have known me to do this, right? And I've reached a point now where my track record kind of speaks for itself. Okay? Then, question number 2. What they are proposing, does it line up with what you wish to accomplish? Does it match your own goals and vision? It doesn't have to be a perfect match, but it still needs to be within your industry, your sphere, your expertise, to be able to deliver what the opportunity would require. For instance, there is no way I would suddenly pursue a business opportunity to sell farm equipment. Why? Because I know absolutely nothing about farming. And if I tried to pursue any kind of career in the farming industry, I really don't think that I would do so well in that. I'm not going to pursue it because I absolutely know nothing about that industry. It has nothing to do with my own dreams. It doesn't line up with my own goals. But I may consider curating art gallery shows for a famous artist, for instance, even though it's something I don't really generally do, I would consider doing it because I know I have even though it's not my regular gig, I know I have appropriate skills and knowledge that enable me to hire someone, even if I have to, in order to help me produce the results of such an opportunity in an excellent way. So I may take the art curating opportunity, but I will very, very certainly, most certainly not take the farming equipment sales opportunity. Does that make sense to you? So you have to take opportunities that it doesn't have to be perfectly your thing that you're doing right now, but it needs to line up with your goals, your expertise, your gifts, your desires, your end results that you are going after, right? It needs to line up with that in some way, shape, or form so that you're still on the same track. You can't just take opportunities that end up becoming rabbit holes for you, or rabbit trails, rabbit holes for you all the time to follow, because that's not going to help you, right? It's not going to advance the bigger picture. So question number 3 that you can ask yourself: are they bringing something to the table that you cannot bring or that specifically matches your values, requirements? Are they, the opportunity they present to you, truly able to be an asset to your business, or are they going to just try and ride the wave of your success? This becomes specifically true if you start getting some wins. See, the minute I started winning awards for my art, the minute my art was shown on television, I had one of 2 reactions from people. Either they were really jealous and kind of like what you would call a hater, and they wouldn't want anything to do with me, and they kind of say mean things about me behind my back. Or suddenly people who never could care about me any less before wanted pictures with me and wanted me to do all kinds of interesting ventures with them. And you know what? I'm just not into playing all those games. And I'm sorry, okay? I'm not there to make you famous. I'm not there to give you a microwave recipe for your success. I will walk your journey with you. I will help you. But we aren't going to play games, and you're certainly not going to use me and abuse me to get yourself. You're not going to trample me into the dust to get yourself somewhere, because that is not okay for me. So when you are working with someone, you need to make sure that what they are bringing to the table really has value. They don't necessarily have to have your level of expertise. They don't necessarily have to know everything you know, but they do need to give you something to work with, something that also benefits your business. It needs to go both ways. It needs to be mutually beneficial, okay? You generally want to be doing business with someone who shares your mindset, who is on your level or further along than you, and you do not want to place yourself in a position where you end up having to drag dead weight around. That is really going to be a passion killer for you, and it's going to absolutely waste your time. When I hire a teacher, for instance, I can train that teacher to a degree, but I do prefer that they already come to me with qualities and skills that match, complement, or exceed my own. Maybe they are not technically on my artistic level, but they have a gift of working with students who struggle, or they have wonderful people skills that I can admire and that I feel would be a true asset to my business. So someone needs to give you something worthwhile to work with. Okay? Experience is not always acquired, but there are deeper things to look at, and you really need to determine before you bring someone on board with any kind of opportunity. You need to determine if this person is going to be a true asset to you. Because if you're just hiring people or bringing people on board with opportunities to fill a spot, or because you just need someone to do the work, but you're not really paying close attention to the kind of person they are, their integrity, their character, if they truly have what it takes to bring it to the table, you may end up dragging dead weight around, and you don't want that. Okay, so question number 4. When they are making any promises or claims, can they back them up and can they deliver? So a clever way of determining that is to give this person a test project or a proper interview to see where they are at. Don't be afraid to put someone on the spot. Ask them tough questions and ask for references. Okay? Depending on the type of situation, you're going to want to see evidence that they can actually deliver. And let me just explain this to you. A computer model, some statistic on a computer screen, some market evaluation on a computer screen. Those are not real evidence. Anyone can put that on a screen. You can get that on Google and you can put that on a screen. You're going to want to know what this person has done and where they're at and what makes them tick and if they are going to be an asset to your business. Remember that. The 5th question you can ask is their opportunity ethical or even legal? You do not want to be tied to other businesses or individuals who are shady. You have to really make sure about this. If this opportunity involves real estate, for instance, really do your homework and make sure if the real estate ethics and laws line up with this opportunity, right? There are a lot of con artists out there, and maybe someone is so absolutely enchanted with their opportunity that they themselves may not even realize this is not really exactly above board or may not exactly be something that they want to get involved in. So you really have to be sharp about what is going on with this opportunity, okay? Make sure you know the business regulations, legal aspects, right, involved in this kind of decision, this kind of opportunity. Then, question number 6 that you need to absolutely ask yourself. Is this time efficient for you? Okay? Does this line up with your current trajectory? Is it simple and straightforward? And does it fit in with what you already have going? Or is this a potential wasteland of stress and time and money? You do not want to throw time and money at an opportunity that is not going to get you anywhere in the bigger picture. Remember that. How many moving parts or other people are involved? Projects or opportunities that are too complex, do not have clear goals, do not produce straightforward and measurable results, those may be tricky and they may be sucking a lot of time from you and they may take time and focus away from other things that are actually worth your while. So be aware of that. Then, before we end part 1 of our show today, remember this. Some opportunities may be really great in themselves, but they may not be a great fit for you specifically. Opportunities always need to match your own journey in some direct way, or they can create rabbit trails and distractions only that you truly don't need. You are the only one that can honestly look at the green light and decide if you want to proceed. Sometimes you may need to pass on a green light, even if others seem to indulge in it. Do not take an opportunity just because all your friends are. Okay? It really needs to line up with what you want for your business and your journey. Okay? Remember that every opportunity will require you to pay a price for it, right? And you need to ask yourself, are you willing to pay that price in money, time, stress, whatever is required? Are you willing to pay that price? And you know what? Here's the most freeing thing I can possibly say to anyone on this topic. It is okay to walk away. Don't feel pressured into stuff that isn't for you. It is really okay to walk away. And don't let people tell you this little line of this opportunity will never come around again. It's not true. Okay, we're going to talk about this a little more in our next section. In part 2, we are going to look at some potential red flags.
Catch the fire of creativity. Visit artbyavian.com. AVIANNE. And now we return to our show with Avian.
And we're back with part 2 of episode 15 of Your Creative Force. And our topic for today is green lights and red flags. So we're going to jump right into red flags. What do we mean when we talk about a red flag or a potential red flag? Okay, so these are things that come up that are little warning signs. It's kind of like an opportunity or a person that it's being presented to you, but you just don't feel right about it. Or when you look deeper into it, you realize that this is not all it's made out to be. And you see warning signs and you just know that this is not going to work very well for you. It may not be that they are a bad person. It may not even be a bad opportunity. It is just that when you really delve a little deeper into it and you look at the fine details and the undercurrents of the situation, you just start realizing and you see red flags for yourself. Red flags are warning signs, right? That pop up like, oh my gosh, this person has a weird personality. We have a massive personality clash. And if we're going to have to start working with clients together, this is going to drive me out of my mind. I won't be able to handle this. I won't be able to deal with this. Or, you know what? There's something shady about this person. I can't place my finger upon it, but it's just not like, I don't think they're saying they are who they say they are. Or, you know what? This opportunity, it kind of looks like a scam. I'm just going to give it time, walk away for now, check it out for myself, and I'll circle back to this if I feel comfortable. But there are red flags. There are some personality issues, some personal things about the people involved, or something. You walk into this business, right? And they want to do business with you, and you just sense a lot of dysfunction. You sense a lot of procrastination, and those just are red flags to you. Like, you do not want to work with these people. Sometimes you will get these red flags with clients as well. I have learned to spot certain things in people. It can be clients, employees, or anyone who presents an opportunity to me. And we will delve into those in part 3 of our show today, is like the kinds of people that you really want to look out for, that you really want to be careful of, that raise a lot of red flags for me, and that I think would probably raise red flags for you if you really tune into that. Okay. So for part 2, we're going to look at how to spot a little less obvious, right? Non-obvious red flags. We have to look into that because not all red flags are obvious. Usually, we hopefully know instinctively when someone presents us with an obvious red flag or an obvious green light. Those situations should be very clear to us. We intuitively know that this person is telling lies, or that what they're saying is simply too good to be true. We can see through a pyramid scheme or an obviously shady property deal, etc. This is our intuition telling us, run, Forrest, run, right? Run in the opposite direction. And sometimes these things are very clear. You can literally just take one look at a person or a situation and you can just clearly see that something's not right, and then you just walk away. But sometimes what happens is that the danger we miss is when we miss subtle signs of red flags because we are just not doing our homework, or we take a person on face value way too quickly. See, most people are trusting by nature. We want to trust. We want to believe the best in people, and that's not a bad thing. But the problem is with today's world where everyone can pretend to be anything online and everyone can try and scheme their way to the top and take advantage of other people who may not be aware of certain things. It is very easy to fall into this trap. Very, very easy. And then what happens is we miss the subtle signs of red flags. Some people are also very good con artists. Now, you have to remember this, okay? I don't want you to live with your binoculars behind a bush, right? And think that every person who comes by is going to be a con artist. That's not true. That's why we're speaking about this in terms of discernment. Being able to tell the right from the wrong, being able to tell the good from the bad. And that's really a skill. And being okay with yourself in this as a learning curve, right? Because you're not going to get it right all the time. You just want to get the big stuff right because you don't want someone to take you for a ride for a ton of money, right? Or someone to really be able to harm your business when push comes to shove. That is why it becomes so important to develop the skill. And the sooner you nurture this and develop the skill, the better. Because as I say, as your journey progresses, this is just going to become bigger and badder is the only way I can almost say it, right? The stakes are getting higher. There's now more money at stake. There's more success at stake. There's more value at stake. There are more clients at stake. And so you really do not want to get your wires crossed when it really matters, right? When it really matters, you want to already have honed this skill of discernment a little bit. Right? Some people are just very good con artists. They even really may think that they are helping you, but in reality, they can't for a variety of reasons. And so, I want to share with you guys some things to consider that can help us spot red flags more easily. There are probably countless things that I could say on this topic, and in each category I can give you probably a list of 100 things how to see green lights, and I can give you 100 things how to spot red flags, but I'm going to keep it in a nutshell, and I'm going to give you 4 very critical, very essential little tips and tools that can really help you, okay? So, are you ready? Let's roll. Here are some things that you should consider in spotting red flags more easily. First of all, look at body language. Can this person look you in the eye? And are they comfortable in their own skin? Learn to read people. Are they shifty? Are they nervous? Are they stammering around the subject matter or beating around the bush or rambling on and on about it, okay? I can tell you something that really irks me is when someone does that thing, okay? And you must have seen this before. It's like they smile too much. It's almost like they give you this crocodile smile every time they say something they want you to agree with. And it's really odd. It's like they're smiling, but it's not a real smile. It's just like they're showing a ton of teeth. I don't know if try and imagine it, right? We are on a radio show. We are on a podcast. So you can use the theater of the mind. Picture that, right? You see this sometimes on television with some people who are preachers and they just smile in this really weird way. And you're just like, wow, I have a hard time believing that you're authentic because you're smiling like a crocodile. So that is a tell for me. If someone smiles all the time, a lot, in a really awkward, really unnatural way like that, then I'm like, you know what? You make me feel uncomfortable. You make me feel like you are conning me, like you are hiding something. And I just don't like that. It doesn't sit well with me. I cannot even rationally explain it to you. It's probably something intuitive that I have developed over time. But the minute people do that, it's like something inside of my brain goes, red flag, red flag, red flag. And I just know. And you know what? Here's the crazy thing about that. I always found out afterwards that I was right. Sometimes I'm not sure in the moment. It's like, okay, am I just being overly sensitive? Am I just like being too judgmental, or am I just too scared to try and pursue something I'm not really familiar with? But you know what? Time and time again, after the fact, sometimes it's like immediately after the meeting. Other times it's like months or even years after the fact. I would find out, oh, this person actually went to jail for XYZ, or this person actually conned a ton of people out of a ton of money. And I'm like, wow, okay. So actually I was right. So that's also part of learning to trust your intuition, right? It just doesn't seem to me to be okay when people seem uncomfortable in their own skin or they don't seem very sure of themselves. That's another tell for me. If someone cannot, in a very real and passionate way, convince me in a very just a normal conversational way of their cause, but they're constantly nervous and kind of like shifting around and looking really uncomfortable with what they're telling me. That to me is also a red flag. But overly comfortable people, watch out, because people who smile too much and give you blank stares, they freak me out also. There's something not right. If someone is so confident and they would tell you things like, this is the ultimate solution. This is the only way this is supposed to work. No one else can give you a better answer. No one else knows anything like me. And when they try and sell you something in such a almost like a bulldozer kind of way. I can only describe it as a bulldozer. It's like they make you feel like they're bulldozing right over you. And they don't even let you finish your sentences, right? They just like bulldoze all over you and they tell you, but this will work. This will work. Just trust me. Just trust me. When you're overconfident like that and you try to sell me that hard, then I'm worried. I'm like, okay, like, why are you trying so hard? Let the product, let the service speak for itself, right? This should just be obvious. And if I want it, I'll want it. And if I don't want it, I won't want it. Okay. So yes. So I like genuine people, and I'm glad to say that I'm getting better at spotting these qualities. People who seem too good to be true remind me of the snake in the story, The Jungle Book. You remember Kaa, the snake, and how the snake charms the little boy, makes him feel all cozy, wraps him up warm, tells him to go to sleep. And you have to really be careful of the snake charmers. I call them the snake charmers. They can be smooth talkers, shifty, hard to pin down, hard to read. Okay, mesmerizing, but slick. If you get that feeling that someone is just a little too slithery for your liking, that's a pretty significant red flag. So no thank you. The opposite, insecure, timid, people simply do not boost my confidence levels. Okay, so if someone is overly confident, but also if someone is insecure, timid, or just kind of like weak-minded in their approach, none of the above appeals to me, and all of the above are red flags to me. Okay? Think about how they make you feel. Do they make you feel genuinely empowered, inspired, understood, and validated? Are they hearing you, right? Or are they simply flattering or patronizing you? You have to fine-tune your hearing and fine-tune your eyes in observing these qualities in people. Okay? In the heat of the moment, when you're trying to concentrate on what they're actually saying, some of these cues can be missed, but you have to train yourself to almost tune out some of what they're saying and watch them closely. Okay? Have an assistant there to take notes of what they're actually saying, or record the meeting, or do what you can to retain the information that's being said. But you pay more attention to this encounter, to what this person is actually about sitting in front of you. Okay? Or do they make you feel like they are a basket case of insecurities and vague answers? Because all of this, right? All of this is bad. None of it is good. So you want to really pay attention. If someone is comfortable and they're confident and they know what they're talking about, you are going to see it easily. And they're not going to make you feel uncomfortable. They're not going to make you feel like they're just bulldozing all over you, or that they're almost making you feel sorry for them. Right? If people take the approach of, you should feel sorry for me because this is how I feed my family, and therefore you should just hand me over tons and tons of money and projects, Not good, okay? You're not doing that person a favor and you're not doing yourself a favor either, because you're doing a business, okay? You're not a charity, and it's not heartless. It's actually very wise, because if you are not wise with your business, you and your family and your employees or contractors are going to be without a job. Think about it. So you do not give someone an opportunity just out of pity, okay? Pity and guilt and emotional stuff and feelings, those are not generally good barometers for business decisions. If you go to a financial advisor who knows their stuff, if you go to asset managers who know their stuff and who helps you plan for retirement, etc., they will tell you the same thing about retirement and financial investments. It is never a good idea to do these things based upon emotions or shame or guilt or greed or anything like that, because it's going to come back to bite you. Okay? You have to be sober. You have to look at the facts. You have to know what you are dealing with here. Okay? You cannot let your heart get in the way, because you're going to get really hurt and you're going to end up hurting a lot of people in your life if you make decisions like that. Okay? Then, a second thing to look at. So the first thing was body language, right? In a nutshell. The second thing is look up their claims, credentials, and such online. Look into the businesses of others they have worked with in the past, right? Worked for or worked with in the past. You want to know this person's track record, because that speaks volumes of them, okay? How successful have they been in helping others to become their best? How successful have they been in helping others with their opportunities? Are they crickets? Then it is time to say no and you move on. If you can't find any truly solid things that this person has achieved in the past, any solid affiliations this person has had in the past with other businesses or other organizations, and you can't find anyone vouching for them, and you go to their LinkedIn profile and it's kind of sparse, or it's kind of so all over the place that you can't really tell what they've done, that's kind of like a warning sign, okay? And I'm going to tell you a little thing right here, right now, okay? This is something that I have started picking up on in the last 5 years. Just because someone has certain qualifications, right? They may have a master's degree in public relations or whatever it is. Those do not guarantee a good outcome. If I go on someone's work, like their work profile on LinkedIn, and it's like doctorate degree in this and doctorate degree in that and master's degree in this and master's degree in that, but the rest of what they've done, it's kind of like flimsy. I'm like, you know what? You just go and you just put credentials and studied subject matter and these qualifications behind your name to beef yourself up, but I don't really see what you've actually done with all of that. Do you know what I mean? So watch out for that, because a lot of people will throw out their credentials at you. I have had people insisting that you must call me Dr. So-and-so. And I'm like looking at them, I'm like, why? Why is that so important to you? Because, you know, I think if someone's truly secure in themselves, truly capable of bringing it, they're not going to try and hide behind titles and stuff, okay? They're not even going to try and hide behind their accomplishments. Those will just be kind of obvious things there to support what they're telling you. But if someone's trying to overemphasize all their wins and all their successes and all their qualifications to you over and over all the time, that to me points to an underlying sense of insecurity in the person, okay? It's like they have to hide behind all these things to prop them up, and I just don't like it. So watch out for that, okay? So look at their claims and credentials and such online, but also be aware of that, how they word it and how they refer to those. People can hide behind that, okay? So really try and look a little bit deeper. Demand references and talk to these references. Really ask them for references and talk to people they've worked with before. Okay, check them out. I can tell you that someone I have employed as a contractor in my business recently, he didn't even know it, but I literally was checking him out for 3-4 years without him even knowing that I was checking him out. I was checking him out for a long time because I wanted to make sure that this person was going to be a good match for my business. So I would ask people, hey, so-and-so has worked for you before. What did you think of them? Did they do a good job? What did you think were their good points? What did you think were their bad points? And so by the time I actually hired this person, I already had years of observing them, knowing that I liked them, knowing that I think would be a good match in business, knowing that they have a great reputation in their community, knowing that people who have worked with them in the past all really got along with them, knowing that they're not a difficult person, they're not full of drama, they're not full of nonsense. See, I already knew all that before I even hired them. So that is really important. Then, how punctual, professional, and efficient are they? How long do they take to get back to you? Do you have to chase them down constantly? This is question number 3 that you can ask, right? The third thing you can look at is how punctual, professional, and efficient are they? Do you have to chase them down? Do you have to text them more than twice on a regular basis to get a response within 48 hours? Do you wait for many days, even weeks, for them to get back to you with a simple answer on a regular basis? Do they make many excuses? Do they blame shift or have sad stories to tell you all the time about why they didn't or did do something, right? Steer clear because they will bog you down with irrelevant nonsense and they will waste your time. They will not deliver. They cannot deliver because there's always a crisis or something else going on, okay? In a crisis or during a tight deadline, they will especially not be reliable, or they may not even show up to the party at all when they really need to. So be very careful of people like that. And then the fourth thing you need to look at is the opportunity you are presented with. If it doesn't fit with your values, boundaries, expertise, or goals, it is dead in the water and you will end up resenting it. Don't play and don't let anyone push you into it. The minute, and you have to hear me on this point, I'm going to keep it really short and sweet because it's very self-evident. The minute someone tries excessively hard to push you, pressure you, or manipulate you into saying yes quickly without thinking it through, without being able to even go back and do your numbers before you get back to them, etc., no good. Walk away. I don't care who this person is. I don't care if it's a famous person in your industry. Trust me, I've had those. If someone tries to pressure you into a situation that you don't feel 100% sure of, take a step back, okay? Tell them you need a little bit of time to think about it. And if they cannot give you the time to think about it, you know what? Then there's a very good chance that they're trying to push you into something that is going to make you want to pull your hair out in the end. So remember that. In part 3, we are going to look at how you can spot clients, employees, or contractors as red flags. So we are definitely going to look at this in part 3. This ends part 2 of our show.
Talent is a flame. Genius is a fire. And now we return to our show with your host, Avian.
And this is part 3 of our show today on Your Creative Force, episode 15, Green Lights and Red Flags. And part 3 is about clients, employees, or contractors as red flags. How do you know that, right? You're going to love this part. There's kind of a little bit of humor worked into this, but I think you're going to be able to tell that this is pretty accurate, the way I'm going to describe this to you, guys. So, how do you know what kinds of clients, employees, or contractors are red flags? Well, here is a short list of the typical types of people to watch out for. And I've limited this list to 12. I am sure you could come up with more. This is kind of my little creative way of summarizing this for you guys. Are you ready? Guys, so first of all, you want to watch out for last-minute Lisa. Okay? These are people who always wait to the very last minute to complete a task or a project or present an opportunity or do something, okay? They don't give you warning. They don't work with a process. They're just super last minute, and then they kind of rush things off. They're not really doing a well thought out, really smart job for you. They're kind of just rushing things through, okay? So be careful of last minute Lisa. Guy shows up at the last minute, right? Do things on the last minute, and then usually quality falls by the wayside, okay? Number 2 is lazy Larry, okay? This is someone, and you will spot them. It is like a client who they're very bad at communicating. They're kind of lazy getting back to you, or it's like an employee that's kind of like slow. They always take a long time to complete a simple task, or they take a long time to answer a simple question, okay? And it's like pulling teeth when you have to deal with someone like this. It's like pulling teeth. It's like, it makes you feel like you're dragging dead weight around, okay? When a client is like this, or someone who wants to work with you or for you is like this, watch out. That's a red flag, because they're going to be an absolute drain on you, okay? Because you're going to have to end up working for 2 people instead of for 1. They can't pull their own weight. They're too lazy to do that, okay? Then number 3 is who I call self-pity Sally. Self-pity Sally is someone who always plays the victim. They always feel sorry for themselves. They always have tons of excuses for everything. And they're kind of like that person that you're never sure if they're telling you the truth or not, because they always have a crisis. They have the woe is me, the poor me attitude in life. And that's really emotionally exhausting to deal with someone like that. So be careful of that, right? Number 4 is time suck Tommy. Okay. This is someone who would call you all the time, asking you questions you already answered, ask you questions that you've already posted the answers for on your website. They're just not willing to do the homework themselves. They just want you to do everything for them. So they don't take any responsibility for their own research or their own part of the project. They just time suck you. So every time they have a question, instead of trying to find the answer, they time suck you. They want all your time and all your attention all the time. They don't realize that you are billing them for a certain task, and they want as much as they can out of you, but in the end, they're wasting a lot of your time, okay? They want you to over-explain things, or they want to know details that are irrelevant, stuff like that. So be careful of time suck Tommy. Then we have manipulative Mary. This is a client or an employee who always wants other people, they want to get other people to do things their way, but they're very manipulative. They can use guilt or shame. Okay. They can also play the victim. They can play self-pity Sally, or they can play all kinds of interesting games to get you to do things their way. Be very careful of people like that. Then, one of my personal favorites, freebie Ferdinand. This is someone who always wants stuff for free, okay? If you tell him X amount for X amount of work, they're always going to want that little bit extra out of you that they don't pay for. It's like a bargain hunter, okay? Be careful of them, because they are very good at getting you to give them free stuff, okay? And just put your foot down. I have told people many times in the past, I'm sorry, I don't give discounts on my paintings because that's not fair to my other patrons who pay full price for them, right? Unless I have a specific sale or promotion going on, sorry, I don't give extra discounts because it's not fair. So be careful of freebie Ferdinand. Number 7 is no-show Natalie. And there's almost nothing I can tell you about no-show Natalie except that she never shows up, right? When you schedule a meeting, when you try and get something done, or you schedule a phone call, she's just never available. You can't track her down. She doesn't show up. She's nowhere to be found, okay? Someone like that is very quickly going to turn into a time suck Tommy for you. You do not want that, okay? If you have to chase people down to the point where you literally can almost never get hold of them to just get a job done, to just get their sign off on a project, not a good thing, okay? You need to deal with it because that is a big red flag, okay? Then You must have encountered this guy before. He's called Crisis Chris, okay? This is kind of goes with self-pity Sally, okay? Or last minute Lisa. Crisis Chris is always in crisis mode. Then it's his kids, then it's his dog, then it's his wife, then it's his mom, then it's his job, then it's this, then it's that. But he's always full of excuses because everything is always full of drama and everything in his life is a crisis, okay? If you're working with someone or for someone that you have to crisis manage all the time, that is not good because it's a waste of your time. Right? So watch out for Crisis Chris, okay? Then 9, which is something I come across a lot in my industry, is unteachable Ursula. These are people that they just think they know it all. And they are not really willing to learn from you. They are not really willing to submit to you when it comes to your expertise. They want to tell you how to do your job. They want to tell you what your job should look like. They are not teachable. They don't want to learn. They don't want to listen. They are not open to discussion or anything. They just think they know it all and they're going to make sure you know that they know it all and you can't tell them anything. This is very difficult to work with because a person like this tends to be very judgmental, very unforgiving, and very difficult to deal with, okay? And the difficulty and stress this kind of person will bring to you is most of the time not even worth what they're paying you to work for them or the amount of time you have to spend training them and dealing with their unteachable attitude, okay? They're usually very arrogant and they're usually the type that would bulldoze all over you. So watch out for unteachable Ursula. Then we're also dealing with offended Oliver. Offended Oliver gets offended at you for everything. You will never understand why he's offended. There will never be logic to it, but offended Oliver will be offended at you all the time for various reasons. So you can't change him. Just be aware of him and steer clear when you can. Okay. Then paranoid Paul. Okay. He's always paranoid about something. He always has a million questions and you always have to answer him a million times. Be careful of paranoid Paul. Then pessimistic Peter. Pessimistic Peter can never be convinced that the job you're doing is good enough. He's going to give you moving targets to work for and he's going to waste your time. So don't even try to deal with pessimistic Peter. Not worth it, once again, right? So I'm going to quickly read them again to you and then we're going to end our show for today. Last minute Lisa, lazy Larry, self-pity Sally, time suck Tommy, manipulative Mary, freebie Ferdinand, no show Natalie, crisis Chris, unteachable Ursula, offended Oliver, paranoid Paul, and pessimistic Peter. The moment you spot any of these types of people, move in the opposite direction. That's about the only advice I can give you. Because these types tend to waste your time, create more drama and frustration than needed, and they always make you feel or look like the bad guy. No matter what, you cannot please this kind of person. They are toxic, usually, and you need to steer completely clear of them as far as it depends on you. We're not talking about a person who sometimes display these characteristics. We're talking about a person who are almost always like this to the point where they make you want to pull your hair out, okay? They can poison your entire business if you aren't careful. And with that, we're going to end today's show with our quote of the day from the very, very well-known philosopher Bertrand Russell, who is also one of the philosophers I used to study back in the day. And he said, "Those who forget good and evil and seek only to know the facts are more likely to achieve good than those who view the world through the distorting medium of their own desires." That's some food for thought to you. Until next time, this is Avian signing off for your creative force.
Talent is a flame. Genius, a fire. Visit us at artbyavian.com. Tune in next time as we explore your creative force. Thank you for listening.